Hey everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. Got a little bit of a surprise and interesting video for you guys today. So, similar to way back in 2017, 2017, where I somehow managed to stumble across the original Saviors of the Multiverse project and started doing some videos on it, and it has led to the path of where we are today on a couple things. On my timeline today, Kingfisher made a post. And this is something that I hadn't seen in a while because it's like his last post here was back in 2017 with Hearthstone, and then he did Arcade 1-Up on May 13th, which I don't think I knew about. Maybe I did. And then I see this today. And it says, in honor of the Marvel Superheroes Arcade 1-Up announcement, shout out to Twig, by the way, I played through Punisher and Marvel Superheroes so far today, and I'm about to boot up X-Men Children of the Atom in a few minutes. That's not really what's that interesting about this. Cool. Kingfisher's posting again. We know he's alive. Great. And this is comic related, so we know it's him, not an opossum slapping a keyboard and trying to pretend to be Kingfisher or something. This is real. But this is what I found interesting down here is this link from Marcio Faro Kampf. And by the way, hey Gigi, if you're watching this video, how you doing? This Zvitor project MFA. So I clicked on it because I know people are kind of going to recommend similar games to Kingfisher that would seem valid. So I clicked the link thinking that if anything, it would be a turn-based clone or something like Mutants Gladiators or something like that. And it linked to this Marvel Infinity War game created by ZVTOR and Maru. A work in progress started November of 2014. The last release was May of 2019. And I'm looking at this roster, I'm like, wow, what a 16-bit looking game we've got here. Like, I wonder what's going on. And this video is down here. I was like, well, holy shit. This is kind of like a Double Dragon Final Fight Marvel game. And now, before we go any further, I have to stop us here. Because there's some key components about what you're seeing on the screen that maybe you're not having a knee-jerk reaction to and thinking about. First of all, point number one. This thing has been around for almost 5 years. Holy shit, like never heard of this thing in 5 years, but that's really cool. And it goes to show you that there are interested Marvel developers out there that want to stick with the game for this amount of time. So this is 5 years this guy's been working on it. Now, we don't know the alpha releases, the beta releases, his logs and everything like that, his patch notes. Maybe he drew 3 of these characters in November of 2014 and then 6 more in early 20, like we don't know the timeline here. However, still from start to finish, that's pretty cool that it's 5 years. Secondly, this is an impressive roster over here. I mean, we're seeing such standard fare as, Jean Grey and Star-Lord and Drax and Gamora and Rocket and Groot. But then we're also seeing some cool ones over here like Jubilee. That looks like Ken from Street Fighter, but I'm going to guess that that's Emma Frost. That's probably X-23. There's Nick Fury, original Nick Fury. Spider-Woman, haven't really seen much of her. Shocker, haven't seen much of him. Taskmaster, which is cool. Red Skull. Apocalypse over here. I mean, there's some winner characters over here. And the roster is pretty expansive. And then you come down and you take a look at this video and you see that that's Hawkeye versus Living Laser. And here's some standard AIM goons. And that's probably Old Man... No, Silver... Who is that? Oh, it's Stan Lee. Okay, so it's Stan Lee with a bunch of different Marvel powers. There's the snap. There's a roster. Here's some more gameplay. It looks like Captain America versus Thanos, and now he's... Oh, it's all of the Avengers, so there's a switch to Iron Man. That's the Watcher right over there. If we go back to the beginning of the video, most ambitious crossover in history. It listed a bunch of Marvel-related games over there. Avengers, X-Men, Marvel Knights. So there's Nick Fury. Marvel Villains. There's Mystique. So if we look at characters, we get this roster over here, which is phenomenal. I mean, Captain Marvel, Sentry. We've only seen Sentry in Marvel Contest of Champions. Darkhawk, never heard of this guy. U.S. Agent, that's pretty cool. Songbird, Hercules, Red Hulk, Jessica Jones, a completely clothed Iron Fist, original Nick Fury, Phil Coulson, Elektra, kind of looking like Mai Shirono from, God, King of Fighters, maybe? I forget what. You know Mai when you would see Mai. Mai is always the one that they use with the huge chest whenever they reference fighting games. Like, she's the original one where her boobs precede her into her a room by about 6.5 minutes. Sister Grimm, no, come on, call her Nico. Like, can we really? Guardian, Jubilee, Gambit, a pretty cool looking Archangel, Jean Grey. So that was Emma Frost, X-23, Legion. Like, what game has ever had Legion? Pretty buff Cable, Shocker, Carnage, Red Skull, Doctor Doom, Loki, Magneto, Mystique, Strife, Juggernaut, and a well done Juggernaut. Normal Lumba Ding Dong, Apocalypse, Thanos, Stan Lee, NPC Radio. So maybe these are call-ins. Look, there's Tigra. We haven't seen her since MAA. There's Polaris, Dazzler, Hulkbuster, a well-armored Sif. Very interesting looking Mantis, Hank Pym being tiny, Shitterstar, Microchip I haven't heard of, Herbie, Sasquatch, Rick Jones, Old Lace, Wong, Speedball, Nebula, Jack Kirby, Scream. Scream was so annoying in MAA. Caliban, Mach 1, Exodus, Toad Zero, Morbius, Crossbones. And a whole bunch of other stuff over here. Very interesting looking Cloak and Dagger. I kind of like that representation of weirdly muscular Moondragon. That is a East German swim team Moondragon right there. That's put the steroids down on that one. And something else that I noticed in the credits, which may be here, but you'll see it in game. So, see, there it is, Cyrus Annihilator. So he gave some thanks for some spriters, and he listed Cyrus the Annihilator, which is pretty cool. And look at all these names. Maru, Jafer. Maybe some of these guys can be contacted to do some work on the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux project. I mean, there's a lot of names here. ZVTor himself apparently did a lot of sprites. Maru did a lot. This Jafer. Cyrus did Black Panther. Suicidal Love Song did a bunch. Truzy ME87 did some. I think this is HNO Lobo. So that's a wealth of potential talent there. And I mean, if this project is still active in May, I'm sure some of these people are going to be around. And I think, yeah, so here's the manual. Very, very interesting set of abilities over here. So there's the helper, which is probably those radios. Some people have desperation moves, teleports, healing factors, super jumps, bouncing bullets, blocking bouncing bullets, counterattacks, different specials. So, This appears to be for a download that is in RAR format, which means it has a Windows executable. Whether or not it has joystick support, I don't know, but man, this game would really, really need it. However, what I did just to test was the Android version. So, this is it. What I did is I followed the instructions on the Android portion, which is a little complicated. It's not really for the beginner. I downloaded this OpenBore app, which is an emulator, and I knew it was going to be an emulator because down here it tells you the game file is a .pack. And I was like, oh, I know what a pack is from my heavy emulation days. I forget what's not MAME, but I was like, I know what that is. That's an emulator related file. So OpenBore I figured was going to be an emulator, and it is. So uh, that's it right there. OpenBore with this kind of dragon icon. So I did what he said, which is I installed OpenBore and I went all the way through until it said like, okay, I can't find any pack files in the folder, which set the directory structure. I then closed it and then I downloaded this file right here, the pack file, in Android. It went to the download folder and then I moved it to where the folder is for the pack file. See, there's Cyrus Annihilator. So now this is going to be a little bit weird because this is going to be part click. Well, maybe I can do it. Alright, so the arrow keys work. Oh, okay. A works. Story mode. And you fly your jet around over here until you pick a location. When you get really into the thick of the picture, it goes ahead and loads it up. And you're given some characters. Now, up and down change the uniform. So there's Modern Fury, there's Original Fury, and then if you right or left, there's Coulson in a couple different suits. There's Quake. There's Punisher in some different outfits. Spider-Woman with some different outfits. Black Cat. Spider-Man. Deadpool. Just palette swaps on Deadpool. Spider-Man has some straight up different uniform. Whoa, is that? It almost looks like Iron Man. Iron Fist, palette swaps. Jessica Jones, probably, you know that's going to be palette swaps. She doesn't have much in the way of alternate uniforms. There's that Darkhawk, who I admit I don't know. Squirrel Girl, Sister Grimm, and Ghost Rider. So Ghost Rider's got kind of palette swaps, but we'll go ahead and do Spider-Man and pick the Venom symbiote. And so here it is. I'm not going to say that I'm good with it because I don't know all the key mappings yet, but it's your standard, you know, Fatal Fury, Final Fight, Double Dragon, the X-Men arcade game, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, the Simpsons arcade game. So, alright, D is jump. And I'm not too sure if there's supposed to be sound when emulated. I have my BlueStacks turned down a little bit, but I think there would be some sound if it was present in the game. Let me see if I can knock myself down. Wow, this guy is being an evasive little shit. I wonder if he's... Now, I'm in level with them. Okay. Maybe they're teammates, so I'm just going to go to my settings real quick. Bump up the volume. I'm pretty sure it just isn't running sound, which, if you know emulation... Yeah, okay. If you know emulation well for Android and iOS and everything, certain things will just not have sound. So, there are other abilities other than just jump and the attack. There's like a block. There's a special. I think I just called in a buddy over here, although I don't honestly recognize who that is. kind of... Maybe that's Speedball? Oh, wait. I think I heard a little bit of sound. Hold on one second. Yep, okay, there's some sound. It's low. Now, if I click on the screen, I can bring up the button, so S, J... I mean, I seem to be somewhat doing okay with attack and jump. However, there are some other things. So, like A3 is a ranged ability. Oh, I think I just did a summon. But that was cool because that was Cloak and Dagger. And I think there's definitely a block, because I've seen it. If you hold the button down for the block, he just puts up like a web shield. I think it's this... Yeah, there it is. There's S. So that A2 may have been a super, because it kind of looks like I did a, sort of like a Venom-related leap there. And, you know, I mean, this is pretty iconic Hydra Goons over here. There was a... Just did like a choke attack set. So that's Maria Hill that's been pairing up with me, apparently. I'm sorry, not Hydra, AIM. The other ones, the green ones were Hydras. Those were AIM. And let's go ahead and pick this Darkhawk, because I have no idea who this guy is. See, there's a little bit of that hold and slam move. Now, if you listen close to the sound effects, they're Lucas sound effects. I mean, that's Star Wars blasters right over there. So, one of the other things that we can learn about from this game is that it goes to show you that rights probably aren't going to be that big of an issue, because this guy has been doing it for 5 years and it's still live. Like I've said in the comments of some of my more recent videos, we know we don't have an issue with it. And that is because of the fact of the ruling about the DMCA stuff earlier in the year, and that was pertaining to the rights to use dead MMOs and everything like that. And if you think about that, if somebody does what Goofy does and gets a hold of the code, that is it is Speedball, so that's kind of fair, because think about what would happen if you paid $10, $12, $13 a year for 10 years to play World of Warcraft, and Blizzard decides, you know what, we're up and stopping the game, or City of Heroes, which is a game that legitimately died, or Marvel Heroes and everything like that. And you invested 20, 50, hundreds of dollars unlocking characters and buying in-game currency and doing all that kind of stuff. And then Gazillion, Blizzard, whoever did City of Heroes, they just said, you know what, we're done. Like, we're not doing this anymore. We are not producing content anymore, and we're going to close up the servers. Imagine how you would feel knowing that that's all gone. You know, it's just completely gone. Like, you paid $15,000 for a car, and it's just gone one day. You just wake up and it's not in your driveway. Or a more valid argument is, you know, what about the fact that you could argue that paying for a game and everything like this is simply a consumable resource. And it's like a hamburger. If you go into a McDonald's and you pay for a hamburger and you've eaten it, you're done. Like you paid your $5, you got your combo, you got your fries, you got your soda, you drank it, you ate it. That's the same as paying for a month of WoW. You paid $13, you played your month of WoW, that month is over. What right do you really have to go further with the game and to believe that you are owed something? Like, Marvel Heroes did a terrible job when this wrapped up. And they really didn't give anybody anything. And the console companies, Microsoft for the Xbox and Sony for the PlayStation, had to step in. And they issued refunds out of their pocket. Gazillion never did anything. Now, Playdom did. We all know that Playdom gave us some money back from stuff we purchased in July and August. Some people had issues with, I think, July, but August, they were like, yep, sorry, here's your money back. We didn't know. Here's your, $50 or whatever that you spent, which was pretty cool of them. But the thing is, did you really own anything in your account in Marvel Avengers Alliance? If you paid $50 to get some of the flight suits, let's say in late July, early August, and they're like, we're killing the game, they could have made the argument, you paid for your hamburger, you used it for a month, it's eaten, it's done. Fortunately, they were cool about it, and they didn't. It's all a matter of legal perspective, and I did do a video on that right around the time Marvel Avengers Alliance was wrapping up, or maybe it was when Marvel Heroes was wrapping up, because a lot of people believed, I think it was actually Marvel Heroes, that because they spent hundreds of dollars on their roster, they were owed that money back because they can no longer access it. Well, it's up for debate. I don't know the legal standing on it, to be honest, but I can say that you should be allowed to bring a game back if you have the code and you want to host it, like you want to run a City of Heroes server or something like that. You should. Now, many people hosted vanilla WoW servers until Blizzard decided to go after those places, especially Nostalrius, because they were opening their own, but they kind of let them exist for many years and really didn't care about them. But WoW was still an active game. But like City Heroes, gigantic. Marvel Heroes, those are perfect examples of games where people may have spent money and may have felt entitled to continue what they wanted out of the game. And that's pretty cool that we get to bring Marvel Avengers Alliance back, because you get to feel value out of what you spent. Again, granted, you're not going to have your roster back, you're not going to have your inventory, but you're allowed to work up to it, and it's free. So essentially you can kind of consider it a continuation of where the game was when it died. So you kind of get your money back on this. But it's cool to see that a game like this has been out for a while now. There is a Patreon link down here, which, as you know, for the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux project, we're not going to do that. We have the Goofy Fund. We have a figure that was picked out by Goofy, and we're going to buy it for him as an appreciation from the community for him, and that's what we're going to do in this case. But Goofy will never directly accept money, and nobody on the project will accept money for this stuff. So it's cool this guy has a Patreon. Again, it goes to show you that rights isn't an issue on this. We already knew we were protected, but this further backs us up, because this is a Marvel roster that is not renamed, has many different versions of the characters, has been around for about 5 years, and has had Patreon donations. So that goes to show you we're in pretty good standing. So I'll put a link to this page in the description of the video. I encourage people to check it out. If you do run it on Windows and you've got a joystick and it's joystick enabled, let me know. Um, I assume no responsibility for the download of the Windows version because I haven't done it yet. I haven't tested it. I haven't run it through any scanners or dove into the code to see if there's anything in there, but I can tell you that this Android emulated version seems to be pretty fine. And I'm going to guess that if it's a pack file, RetroArch would probably work with it too, since RetroArch does all different kinds of emulation. So, here you go, guys. If you're going to ask me about Alpha 5, Goofy is still working on the statuses of it. He's fixing a lot of things about it. He wants to put out a quality alpha because he knows the hype is strong. Just give him a little bit of time on it. He's very active. He's been talking about it. He hasn't disappeared or anything. So if you're still waiting for Alpha 5, just hold on a little bit longer. He's been giving us status updates on it, so we believe it should be out relatively soon, and then hopefully everything will be back on the timeline. So again, thank you to the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux community that has spawned a lot of artists. We are seeing more and more artists come up by the day into the group and say, we just had somebody who redid the game's Venom to look more like movie Venom, and everybody's given it completely rave reviews. And he's even shown where he's worked on the sprite of Venom. He didn't just do art of movie Venom. He actually redid the game's Venom to look like movie Venom. And he did it in its sprite components too. So that goes to show you there are talented people out there. Thank you to all the people who've been showing up in the group lately, offering artistic abilities. Hopefully some of the people here that are listed in the credits as spriters, we can get in touch with them and have them do some stuff, because if any of these people are capable of animating new figures within the game, new skeletons, new wraps on a skeleton, new texturized skeletons and everything like that, where we can't take an existing sprite and just kind of palette swap it and recolor and be like, hey, Miss Marvel is now Minerva or something like that, or classic Nebula. If we can say to them, like, can you give us a new cat, like, we want this character in the game, can you make a animated sprite that does all the motions for this, and this for an attack, and this for an attack, and this for a standing pose, and they could do it, I mean, then, like, that's just awesome. So thanks everybody for checking out the video. I hope you find this game interesting, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope I've brought you something neat and fancy, and maybe this will tide you over for a little while and get your Marvel fix on until Ultimate Alliance 3 comes out. The next alpha comes out for Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. We get Avengers next May, and all of it. So, yeah, they've come out and said we're not changing the character looks because of the, you know, the internet outrage. You'll know that obviously when the Sonic trailer came out, everybody went, this is awful, it needs to be fixed, and the director's like, okay, alright, we hear what you're saying, we'll go fix it. Crystal Dynamics is saying they're not going to be fixing the Avengers game, and I hope it's got good gameplay, because Lord Fuckward Black Widow over there, I think I might be able to just use her chin as a window hacking tool, like put it to a circle and just like hack into a building by opening some glass with that chin of hers, because yikes, that is a jut-jawed woman there. But anyway, so yeah, thanks for watching the video, folks.